Internet! Hello, you lovelies, and welcome to This Week in Comics. I'm sorry it's a couple days late. I got engaged this weekend, and I didn't have time to read last week's books until now. I just finished the last comic, so I'm diving into this for and with you. I read about 40 to 50, sometimes 60 comics a week, so you don't have to, and I break down my top 9 favorite comics from the week before, and basically give you a breakdown of stuff you might enjoy reading and try to make comics a little less intimidating, and I lean a little more approachable on the comics favoring number ones, new jumping on points, etc., as well as previewing that week's new comics at the store right now. I also break down the biggest news in comics, and this week we're going to be talking about Deadpool tracking at over 200 million, plus getting a release in China. We're going to be talking all about that Penguin trailer, just giving some first initial thoughts on that madness, as well as talking about a fan favorite DC comic character getting his first title in about 6 years, and one of my favorite comics out right now being canceled with issue 10. We're going to dive into all of that and more. This is This Week in Comics.
Let's do the list. Spider-Man.
Guilty.
The Incredible Hulk.
Afraid so.
Oh man, this is so cool. The X-Men.
Now that you mention it.
All right, let's dive right in with my first book of the week. It is going to be Batman Gotham by Gaslight, The Kryptonian Age, #1. This is a book that I didn't expect to love this much. This is a book that deals with Gotham by Gaslight, which I do enjoy, but I didn't know how they do going back into that world. This is from Diggle and Fernandez, and it is a great jumping on point. If you've never read a Batman book, if you've never read an Elseworld, if you've never really been that interested in Batman or Superman, this is a great, cool new way. I really love this opening with Catwoman. I really love the world they've built. I really think it's going to be cool to see Superman within this world. You kind of get some teases here, but it's really a Catwoman and then Batman story as things go along. I love how mythical Batman feels. This book kicks off so very well. Check this one out. Then we've got Deadpool and Wolverine World War III #2. This book is by Joe Kelly and Kubert. This book right here is so much fun. Admittedly, I do think this is going to be one of those books that when you get to the end, a lot of these seeds planted pay off a little better. It is a very different take on Deadpool so far, but what it is really the brokenness of Deadpool, and that's what I think Joe Kelly does best. I love that his humor comes from a broken place. I love the art by Kubert. He draws my Wolverine. There's like 5 or 6 artists that when I picture Wolverine, that's him, and this is one of them. Kubert is absolutely making this action-packed. Not so in love with the villain so far, and that's why it's a little lower. This is like a B+ for me, but again, I think by the time we get to the end, this is going to be even stronger because it'll have set everything up, and then there'll be a bigger payoff, but it's still a great read. It's still very dynamic. It still gets these two characters so very well, and most importantly, the bond / lack of bond / violence between them. There is something so interesting about this duo, and it's a really great setup for the movie. It's not anything that's going to be adapted into the movie, but it's leaning into their relationship, which, when July 26th rolls around, will be important, obviously, to that adaptation. So it's a really fun time, and I really think it's going to be great collected as a trade. Then we've got The Deviant #6. This is from James Tynion IV and Hickson. This book is a hard read, but is a great read. This is basically from the perspective of a writer writing about a serial killer, and that serial killer and he having a lot in common. And the more uncomfortable that gets, and the more familiarity that gets, and then this issue is the writer being perhaps also responsible for some pretty heinous crimes, and neither of the two leads up until this point are actually in this issue, which is really fun. Now we get the world around it. If you like Fincher movies, if you like things like Mindhunter, if you enjoy true crime pulpy noir, this is a very different kind of comic. This isn't cape stuff at all. This is a really depraved killer comic, and this issue really builds a world around our leads, and it makes whatever's about to happen even more painful to experience. Not an easy read, but a very good read. I definitely recommend The Deviant. Next up is one of my favorite books on the shelves. It is a Fantastic Four week with FF #21 coming out this week. If you watch this show, you know that every week that we hit upon a Fantastic Four week, I'm always so excited to talk about it because this is a team that I've always wanted to like, but I've only loved some of their runs, and this is maybe my favorite run of all time of the Fantastic Four. It is only 21 issues in. I highly recommend going back to issue 1, reading the whole thing. It has got some great anthology issues. It's got some beautiful arcs. It is so perfect. It's adventurous. It's science-based. It's making all the characters so captivating. This one is very Reed Richards-based. This one also has the unfortunate situation of needing to tie into Bloodhunt, and I say unfortunate because a lot of times really good books can fall apart when they're forced into a bigger summer event story or they're forced to change genres. This is not that case. This deals with a lot of the FF in general outsmarting vampires, but specifically the science and acumen of Ben Grimm's wife, as well as Reed having to they're trapped in a museum and they have to find a way to protect themselves and others, and it uses a lot of really fun science. It uses a lot of really fun adventure. It is the Fantastic Four. Highly recommend this book. Start at number 1, go all the way through. But if you're reading Blood Hunt, this is one of the Blood Hunt tie-ins I would definitely recommend. Then we've got Geiger number 3 from Geoff Johns and Gary Frank. Johns and Frank are killing this book. I really think this is one of the most approachable new characters out there. If you like superhero stuff, this is one of the cool new superhero books. This week is actually very indie heavy, and this is no exception. This is a very new shared universe. This universe they're making is going to be Geiger, Redcoat. They're going to be doing stuff with Rook. It's this new shared comic universe that isn't so shared yet. So each of these books is its own thing, but it's building out this new imprint over an Image, and it's all independently done. And this new character, Geiger, is a family man that is trapped in a world that has had atomic fallout, and he was destroyed in that fallout. Now he's basically a glowing skull. And instead of being like a force of vengeance, a holy wrath like Ghost Rider, he is just trying to get by. He's trying to find things that keep him sane and happy. And in this book, it's all about finding a book and what that book meant to him and family and escaping through books. And that is so relevant when reading a comic to escape our world. It is a very useful escape into this world. And I just love the reluctant friend characters, and I love the art by Gary Frank. Just the world building here and the main character, Geiger, is fantastic. Highly recommend. Speaking of new indies, next up we've got Lawful number 1 from Pak and Galindo. This book is so very good. This is a brand new number 1. Nothing came before it. It's building all of its rules out, and this is a really interesting fantasy book. Now, fantasy is not usually my cup of tea. I like Lord of the Rings as much as the next guy or close to it, but fantasy is not usually what I'm drawn to. This is a world of monsters and myth, and then you find out the way these monsters and myth come about is if you break a rule in this world, you get a horn or scales, or you start to become a monster. You become monstrous, and then they hunt down monsters. So they're taking out their own. And it's the story of this kid that basically is trapped, not breaking any rules, and everything around him is his parents trying to keep him on the straight and narrow, but his friends occasionally breaking rules and the wrong side of the tracks. And what does it cost to be perfect and good? What does it cost to be lawful? Is it worth it to never do anything wrong? What are these monsters if not just everyday people? And what is this super strict structure the school is trying to get this kid to follow to be this greater good? And it's a really interesting world building. I love its use of monsters. I love its use of right and wrong so far. Fantastic number 1, Lawful. It's a big indie week. Another number 1 is Rifters number 1 from Posehn, the stand-up comedian, and a new-ish artist. I've seen some of his stuff. I really like him here. Troman. This book is really freaking cool and really freaking funny. It deals with YouTube culture and our interesting time of social media, but it's also a time travel book dealing with someone inventing time travel, basically a douchey, tech bro, entrepreneur, venture capitalist, and how that unravels the rules of society and time, and then people that are looking for clout using time travel to do what they want to do. And it's a comedy and a commentary and a satire for sure. If you like Idiocracy, and if you like commentary on today with some great historical jokes, this is your jam. It really is super playful, and also I love the characters already, and I love our 2 leads going through time and the jokes they're in, and then the villains so far are basically the Paul brothers. It's a really funny, really different book. Highly recommend Rifters. We've got one new number 1 this week. Again, I'm trying to make these books the approachable ones. This number 1 is from Marvel, though. It's one of the big 2. We've got Scarlet Witch number 1. This is from Orlando and Camagni. This book is kind of a continuation of the last Scarlet Witch book, but it does kind of clean up and explain continuity enough. You could just jump on here, and it's a really fun story of basically the Blood Hunt tie-in as well, but what Scarlet Witch does in that environment, how big the stakes have to be for Scarlet Witch to get involved. This also has Darcy from the Thor movies in a really fun role. She was introduced for the first time ever in the last Scarlet Witch volume, so her debut in comics isn't Scarlet Witch. This is the second volume featuring her, and this number 1 features a lot of very obscure magic characters used in really fun ways. It deals with a lot of really cool myths and lore and magic, and it's a really cool expansion of the Scarlet Witch ideas, plus some really funny Quicksilver stuff. Just, if you like Scarlet Witch, this is a really cool jumping on point. I would recommend this, especially if you only know her from the MCU. Jump on right here. And if you're reading Blood Hunt, this is one of the ones I'd recommend you check out. And our last of the 9 of the week, but I do want to give a shout out to Spider-Man Shadow of the Goblin number 3. This would have been number 10. It just didn't make the cut because of how good a lot of the indies were this week. Is the final one of the week, Something Epic number 9. I love this title. It deals with a world where creativity is a superpower effectively, and some people can control reality through their creativity. And this is the second arc of this story. The first arc actually had a different protagonist, but introduced us to the idea of epics. Epics are people that can see all creativity. And this is from Simon Gudronsky, who is writing and illustrating this whole book. And he is not only writing and illustrating, but he's illustrating in so many different styles. Like, you've got a Howard the Duck type character illustrated like a cartoon. You've got Greek gods. Mother Nature is in this particular issue. You've got characters illustrated like noirs, and everything in this is a different style, mirroring different worlds, and she can see all these worlds and interact with them. And the stakes are so high because it's gods. This issue has the god Thor, the Norse mythical god Thor, and Mother Nature and the death of Zeus, and dealing with the ramifications of when we lose a god and what that means for other myths, what that means for the ability to die. This book is fascinating. I would say go back to issue 1, but you could also jump on issue 6 and start this new arc with us. This book was so much fun playing with the OG Thor, not Marvel's Thor like the actual myth, and playing with what it is to be a myth and what it is to be creative. Just an inspiring book, a lot of inspiration here just for storytelling in general. Very impressed every week or every month with this book. Check out Something Epic. That is going to do it for my favorite books for the week of June 12th. Here they are, all 9 of them. These were my favorite books from that week. At the end of this episode, I am going to be previewing yesterday's new comic books, which I'm going to be getting to right away. The new comics from the week of June 19th, I will preview at the end. But first, let's get into the news of the week. All right, we got a quick barrage of news for you guys this week. First of all, Deadpool, my guy, is opening at 200 plus million, according to 6-week out tracking. Usually at about 6 weeks, they can track pretty accurately from word of mouth, from surveys, from pre-sales. This would be the biggest R-rated opening of all time and one of the biggest R-ratings openings of all time. It is tracking, that's a low estimate. 200 million is a low estimate. For perspective, some movies' entire runs are $200 million. Some big movies' entire runs are $200 million. This is staggering. This is incredible. I am so excited. This would mean not only a likely $1 billion box office, but now also announced this week, it has officially been approved for a China release. Now, a lot of big movies did not get releases in China and did still break that billion, but it is harder and harder to do because that is a giant market for film. This, I think, puts Deadpool somewhere over 1.5 million. I don't know if it'll get to 2 billion because it is still R-rated, but I know comic audiences, if they've been a fan since '08 with Iron Man and they were 10 in '08, they are 24 now, or whatever it is. 2008, 8 years. No, 2008, 6 years, 16 years ago, 16 plus 10. They're 26 now. They're adults. They can buy R-rated tickets. Hell, if they're 17 now, they were a child then. Like, it's like a literal baby. It's crazy. It's time. It's time for R-rated stuff. We are adults. There should be a range. There should be some all ages stuff. There should be some PG-13 stuff, but there should also be some R-rated stuff. These guys right here, R-rated. Yes, please. So, Deadpool, 200 million, even with the R rating. And now with the Chinese release, we're looking at a comfy $1.5 billion, in my opinion. I think this film could open between 250 and maybe even $300 million, which would be just, it would make me so happy. There will be the inevitable Marvel's back and then Marvel's dead, depending on whatever comes out next. But I'm just happy and excited for a new Deadpool, regardless of box office. But that being said, box office does matter for voting with your wallet, what kind of stuff gets made. If an R-rated comic movie does well, whether you like Deadpool or not, it is more likely we get more R-rated comic book movies. Whether you like Marvel or not, it does help movie theaters stay open. Without big box offices, the movie theater industry is not surviving. So this is very exciting. The box office has been doing a lot better lately. Bad Boys did great. Inside Out 2 broke lots of records. I am much more confident and comfortable for the moment. I still do worry about the dry spells, but it is a very good season right now for box office. I'm less worried about my precious movie theaters, and now with Deadpool looking to track record-breaking numbers, I am overjoyed. Speaking of Marvel, and speaking of Marvel Comics, and speaking of Marvel Studios, the Marvel Comics logo changed to mirror the Marvel Studios logo, and a lot of people lost their minds. I don't think for good reason. Brand synergy makes sense. Marvel Comics logo has changed a lot of times. It is not the biggest deal in the world. It also doesn't look that bad. It's just synergy. Marvel games, Marvel animation, Marvel Studios, Marvel Comics. Why not have them look the same? I get the fear that means too much interference from Marvel Studios into Marvel Comics. To my knowledge, to date, the only thing I know that has happened is wanting to make Kamala Khan a mutant, and also kept her Inhuman. She's both. Make her mutant to tie into the show. That's the biggest change, and that was not that big a deal. In fact, the new introduction of her as a mutant is some of my favorite Kamala Khan stuff, and I love all the Kamala Khan comics. She's actually what I consider the Silver Age Spider-Man, like, reborn. She's our current Silver Age, fighting for her city, very approachable. Like, I love Kamala Khan in the comic books. I just really love what Aman Vellani did with her when she was writing her own character in the mutant stuff. So it's not a big deal, I think, but if they start feeling too much like the movies, then I'll be worried. But for now, I'm not worried, and the logo looks fine. And again, synergy, it kind of makes sense. And honestly, if this sells more comics because it looks familiar, good. Sell more comics. That's the goal. That's what matters. So yay. And the Penguin trailer dropped this morning, as well as a Batman. There's a new Batman animated series coming out on Amazon. There was a little trailer for it with the voice cast being announced. Don't want to miss that. It was really cool. But let's talk about that Penguin trailer just very briefly. I am so happy that we're getting a separate Matt Reeves universe, because this looks like a crime thriller. This looks like a Sopranos. This looks like a Black Donnellys. This looks like a long, rich, crime-driven thriller. And I love when that is done right. And I love when there can be a different genre in the comic book space. This doesn't look like a comic book show, because it isn't. It's about Penguin. I hope maybe Bruce Wayne pops up. I hope Batman is a myth in the background. I hope that we just get playboy, philanthropist Bruce Wayne, because that can build his arc up between movies, but not mess with too much with Batman. I want to see crime as a character. I want to see Gotham as a character. I want to see Penguin grow in Penguin Show. And Batman's not the lead of Penguin Show. He can show up, but I hope it's not too much. That said, everything we saw in this trailer is amazing. This is not a world where Superman can just pop in and make all the stakes useless by just cleaning up crime and doing a little... I'm so glad Reeves has his own thing, man. Like, this feels so... I loved the movie feeling so separate from everything other DC. I love Batman feeling like a detective. I love that Gotham feels like a Fincher movie. This feels like a crime drama like Fincher would make, but with Matt Reeves, and I love his eye. I love his cinematography. This looks like Greg Fraser's work continuing on from the movie into this. I also love that we're getting, like, there's a gap between Batman 1 and 2 because of the strike, because of the pandemic, because of scheduling. There's a huge gap, but that huge gap has a giant 6-8 hour bridge with Penguin in the middle of it. So between Batman 1 and 2, Matt Reeves directed the hell out of this show and wrote this incredible Penguin show. And Colin Farrell, man, Colin Farrell, what a force of nature this guy always is, but this role, he is Oswald Cobblepot. I love that, like, he is a character actor trapped in a handsome man's body. Always has been. I feel like him and Brad Pitt want to be character actors, but they're just so damn pretty. He gets this suit on, and he can just embrace all of his talent. He can just be this merciless monster. He's just channeling, the Untouchables, Capone, De Niro. He's channeling all these mobsters of lore, the Goodfellas stuff. He's just got this rage and this tone and this beautiful performance, and we're going to get to see that long form, and I'm so excited. I love that we're getting one of the daughters from Sopranos / Mother in all ways, but How I Met Your Mother's revealed Mother as one of the Falcones. I love that we're getting so many character actors as some powerful criminals in Gotham. This feels like Long Halloween long form. This feels like what I love about Batman. This trailer has me so excited. I love the first trailer. I love this trailer. This drops in September. Depending on where I am, whether I'm covering it at Real Rejects, I might still do reviews here. I am overjoyed at how good this show looks. I'm going to be fighting to get press access to, I want to talk to the creators. This looks so good. If you know anybody at Warner Brothers, connect me. I want this show. Tell them how much I'm excited for this show. This is that trailer. Whew. And finally, 2 more quick stories from the world of comics themselves, the actual books. We are getting a new Plastic Man comic. I am so excited for Plastic Man no more. This man, who I adore, I love Plastic Man, hasn't had a comic since 2018. It's been 6 years since Plastic Man has been on our spinner racks, and this is from Christopher Cantwell, who I think is a fantastic writer, big fan of his stuff, and Linz, who I really like the pencils of. I think this is going to be a really good duo. I love how funny Plastic Man is. I love how meta and aware Plastic Man is, and this story is apparently plastic deteriorating. Plastic Man can die, and this is the story of how. 1, I'm excited for just more Plastic Man. 2, rumor is we're going to be getting Plastic Man in the DCU, so raising awareness for him is very smart. And 3, I'm a fan of Cantwell, so I'm very excited to pick this one up. And then on the other side of news, unfortunately, because I really like this book, it looks like Sensational She-Hulk is done. I've really loved this book the last couple of years. I think Rowell is very good at writing She-Hulk. I've really enjoyed the romance. Having a romance comic has made me happy. You guys see this in my top 9 very often. It's apparently getting its goodbye. It's not just ending. It's getting a final arc, but it does sound like it was editorial that canceled, not Rowell leaving. But it's going to be ending with issue 10. I'm bummed. It's a fan favorite book, but for whatever reason, whether it's sales or, they're going to be using Sensational Hulk in a different way, Sensational She-Hulk is not going to be in this iteration anymore, which I have enjoyed. It is a bummer. But if you want to check out the run, now it is ending at 10, so you'll have a nice comfy 2 trades for this last little arc. But that is going to be it for Sensational She-Hulk. Bummed about it, honestly. It was a good book. That is going to do it for the news. We're going to be diving into this week's new comics for the week of June 19th. Yesterday's books, if you're seeing this Thursday, or 2 days ago's books. The books that are now available at your local comic shop, new to this week, are from Marvel Comics for the week of June 19th, we've got Amazing Spider-Man number 52, continuing all the Spider-Goblin stuff. Black Panther Blood Hunt number 2. Black Panther's a big part of Blood Hunt, and this is his own title, his imprint over there, dealing with the ramifications of his impact on this giant crossover event. Captain America number 10 and Captain Marvel number 9. Doctor Strange number 16. As you know, if you're reading Blood Hunt, big changes to Doctor Strange and with Doctor Strange and for Doctor Strange. So this this separate tie-in book is going to be very big and very important. Dracula Blood Hunt number 2. If you're a fan of pure vampire stuff, check that one out. Immortal Thor number 12. Love the meta-ness. Love the way they're blending in corporate synergy as a negative and all of the stuff with this character as a Greek myth, but also a comic myth and also a commodity. Loving the Immortal Thor run. Invincible Iron Man number 19. Post-Krakoa. Very curious how things shake out there. Really loving the Immortal stuff from Jerry Duggan on that book. Sensational She-Hulk number 9, the penultimate, the second to last Sensational She-Hulk book. Really bummed, really love that title. Spider-Woman number 8, Star Wars Jango Fett number 4, Book of the Week, Ultimate Spider-Man number 6, the conclusion to the first arc of one of my favorite Spider-Man titles in years, my favorite main title, Spider-Man title in years. Like, there's been some good Chip Zdarsky stuff, I keep saying this, but I think this is the best Spider-Man has been in quite some time, and this concludes the first arc. How's it going to do? I haven't read it yet. I almost read it right before filming, but I didn't. I held off, so I'll talk about that next week. I'm overjoyed. So excited. We've got Uncle Scrooge and the Infinity Dime. That seems like a Marvel tie-in. Also seems like a good book for kids if you want to get your kids into comics. Venom Separation Anxiety number 2. Loving this because it's from the original writer of Venom, Michelini, who wrote Venom with Todd McFarlane back in the day. So it's been a really fun 90s throwback. Venomverse Reborn number 1 and Wolverine Blood Hunt number 2. Loved Wolverine Blood Hunt number 1. Very intense Berserker Rage against vampire action. I think 2 is going to be great. Batman 149. It is the end of this failsafe arc. I'm really curious the ramifications for Chip Zdarsky's Batman. Batman, Superman, World's Finest 28. I've loved this title from the jump. It just keeps getting better. Catwoman 66. How does she deal with having 9 lives and having the end of that seemingly with this issue? How does that go down? Green Lantern War Journal number 10. Lots of really cool John Stewart stuff happening over there. John Constantine Hellblazer Dead in America number 6. Vibing hard with this book. Very Hunter S. Thompson, very Kerouac, very Americana. We've got Nightwing number 115. This is the second issue in the final arc of Tom Taylor's run with Nightwing, which I have loved. He's been on this book for a couple years, and it's been some of my favorite Nightwing stuff, and this is the beginning of the end, or the middle of the end. We've got Titans number 12, also some more Tom Taylor working with Nightwing, but also the whole Titans team. Then we've got Wonder Woman number 10. You guys know I love Tom King. I especially love Tom King's Wonder Woman. This title has been some, like, George Perez level Wonder Woman. Been loving it. From Boom Studios, the ones I'm personally checking out are Blow Away 3, Briar 6, The Displaced 5. My big one over there is going to be House of Slaughter 24. There is a Something is Killing the Children tie-in. Very, very good stuff. I love the myths. It's like the Harry Potter, but instead of teaching the magic, teaching kids how to be assassins to take out monsters that no adults can see. House of Slaughter is one of the schools, so imagine Slytherin for that parallel and concept. And then Uncanny Valley number 3 is a kid finds out that his grandparents, or one of his grandparents, is a cartoon, and that he's part cartoon, and he has to deal with the ramifications therein. It is fascinating and so very weird. Over from Dark Horse, we have Helen of Windhorn number 3, another Tom King book dealing with fantasy and mysticism, but also classic literature. Imagine like a Marie Antoinette vibe meets Pacific Rim with monsters. It is a really cool juxtaposition of worlds, and I'm very excited to check it out. Also excited to check out The Writer number 1 from Dark Horse. From Dynamite, we've got the Hercules tie-in to the animated stuff at number 3. I'm loving all the Disney tie-ins that Dynamite is doing. This is 3 of Hercules. We've got James Bond 007, a comic version of The Great Spy. Digging that so far. There's a lot of cool Turtle stuff from IDW this week, including Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Black, White, and Green, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles The Last Ronin 2 Re-Evolution, and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles The Untold Destiny of the Foot from Image Comics this week. We have Destro #1, expanding out the G.I. Joe universe. We've got Misery #1. I don't know what it is, but it's a Spawn universe comic, and I always check out Image #1s. We've got The One Hand #5, a pulpy noir mystery with a little bit too much uncanny supernatural elements for me, but I'm still checking it out because I do like the tone. And Spawn #354. Those are all the comics from all the major publishers that I'm going to be checking out this week. You'll find me next week giving you my top 9 of those books. I imagine Ultimate Spider-Man #6 is going to be on there. I'm very excited to read it literally as soon as I hit cut and edit this and post it. I'm going to get to reading it. Much love to each and every one of you. I am very excited that you're still watching this video. I'm very excited that people actually asked about This Week in Comics. You guys missed this show dropping Tuesday or Wednesday, and that means a lot. It means you're actually invested, and this is a show about comics. It doesn't do as well on YouTube, so I'm very glad to hear you guys are here. So your homework for this week is in the comments below. Let me know what your favorite summer event, DC, Marvel, anything. We are deep into Blood Hunt. It is probably about halfway. What's your favorite event comic? Doesn't have to be summer, but like, I personally, Maximum Carnage. I remember reading Maximum Carnage as a kid, and it blew me away, and it showed me like the power of a tie-in, it showed me a lot of new characters, introduced me to Cloak and Dagger, brought us Doppelganger, made Carnage crazy, awesome and edgy for a kid of that age. Took me years to realize Carnage, very bad man, but I love the design of him. But yeah, Maximum Carnage was my my favorite summer event, in part because of nostalgia, in part because it holds up. What is your favorite event from DC, Marvel, anybody? Let me know in the comments below. Please do like this video, help the algorithm. Please do comment on this video, help the algorithm. Please do share this video with someone you know that loves comics, because I'm trying to grow this channel. We did pass 26K. I'm trying to get to 32K by Deadpool Day. That is the goal. I want to pass my Twitter following and hopefully be on that platform less and be on this platform more. Much love. I'll see you guys soon.